Springfest.
Good afternoon to all.
My first question is, why did you choose to write about this subject, the women in the court and life of Maharaja Ranjit Singh?
My books have been Punjab-centric, as it was just said. And you know that Punjab has been a strongly patriarchal land. Maharaja Ranjit Singh is one of the most acclaimed kings, not only in India, but also in the world now. He has been written about, talked about, discussed hugely. But even though there have been so many women who have been exceptional in their valor, in their intelligence, in strategy, they have not been talked about. Because maybe it's the patriarchal mindset. History has generally ignored women and their contributions. And likewise in the life of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, I wonder if he could have been who he was without the traditions which were handed down by his grandmother, Mai Desa, his mother, Raj Kaur, his lovers and wives, and most of all, his formidable, exemplary mother-in-law, Mai Sadakaur. And yet, we only find passing references about most of them, and not any focused writing or nuances. And that is what made me pick up this subject for this book. And I could see that very little has been written about them, and nothing in such a comprehensive way.
True. How did you gather the material for this book? If I may ask, what were the timelines from the initial thought to the book in actuals?
Like I said, because there was such little material available about them, I really had to work hard to hunt and to glean information. For that, I collected almost all the books I could find, not only on the women, there were very few. You know, there are some in Punjabi written about Maharani Jinda, one about Mora, and then there is one by Chitra Banerjee. Besides that, I read a lot about Maharaja Ranjit Singh and his life, because he was going to be the pivot. And from his lifestyle, I took little cues about how his women would have been. And another interesting thing is that I took a trip to Lahore. Over there, I took a time from Professor Ejazuddin Fakir, three of whose ancestors were very close confidants and ministers in Maharaja Ranjit Singh's Darbar. I found his book, which he has written about the Fakir ministers over there, and I also visited their family museum, the Fakir Khana Museum, which holds a lot of things from Maharaja Ranjit Singh's times, documents and relics. Besides that, I visited almost every place which was related to Maharaja Ranjit Singh, beginning with the Lahore fort, but I went to Gujranwala, I visited his birthplace, and in the Lahore fort, I went to the Haveli of Maharani Jind Kaur. I went to Mai Mora's mosque in Papadwali Bazaar in Lahore. So it kind of, at that time, I was working on this book. It took me 5 years, by the way. And I was reliving that era. I was stepping back into it. And for that much time, I honestly felt transported. But I must tell you very honestly that since there was so little available, I could only get the skeletal details about the women, and the rest were built brick by brick as I thought that they would have been.
This deserves a huge round of applause. The extensive research, visiting the places physically, I think this a huge round of applause. I know there are lots of you in the audience. Right. So you have written a lot about Sada Kaur and portrayed her as a great leader and a strong personality. Can you elaborate on this?
Yes, Sada Kaur was a kingmaker. And believe me, if Maharaja Ranjit Singh would not have been who he was, and the patriarchy norms were not so strong, she would have been the Maharaja of Punjab and she would have set up the Khalsa kingdom. This lady, she lost her husband when she was very young. Then she lost her father-in-law. She belonged to the famous Kanhaiya Misl. And at age 22, she took over formally as a misildar, as the chief of a misl. We are talking of those times. Just imagine the furious sardars, the fighters, the chiefs. And she dared to stake her claim and succeeded in being the misildar. Here I would like to read out a short passage of a conversation when she is taking her claim to be the misildar. She is addressing a meeting of the chiefs, and she has been, people are very surprised that she should even dare to try and say that she wants to be the misildar. So Sada Kaur rose from her seat. She stood tall, her slim, sinewy frame erect, a shawl wrapped as a second layer over the white mulmul veil covering her dark hair. Her bronze skin, taut across an angular face, glowed confidently, and her bright eyes reflected the sun's rays filtering through the leaves of the peepal tree. A strong chin, aquiline nose, and high cheekbones gave her a regal presence. Khalsa ji, let me answer your concerns, she addressed the gathering. You deem a woman unfit to lead a misl. What are the prerequisites for a misildar? I am as good a rider as any of you and well versed in swordsmanship and musketry. I dare you to challenge me to a horse race or a duel. I was coached in Gurmukhi, Persian, and mathematics and have administration facts at my fingertips. How many present here can say the same? Which holy book states that a woman may not lead? I lack only one thing, a beard and a moustache. Some women in the gathering sniggered, but the men had no answer. Who managed the Khalsa Panth after Guru Gobind Singh left his body? His wife, Mata Sahib Kaur. Who led the Singhs against the Mughals in the Battle of Khidrana? My Pago. Who dared to step out and cremate the slain warriors' bodies at Anandpur Sahib, embracing martyrdom while fighting the Mughal soldiers? Mata Harsharan Kaur. Khalsa ji, know that I am the daughter of these venerated women. The Sikh Gurus bestowed an equal status on women, which is reiterated in the Gurbani time and again. Women earned this quality through their courage by sacrificing their lives and infants. Veiling of the face has been condemned in Sikhism. From whom should I veil my face? Should I doubt the sanctity of your intentions? You who are like my own fathers, brothers, and sons? If you are the true Khalsa and follow the path shown by our revered gurus, rather than the decadent social traditions, give me my right and accept me as the legitimate misildar of the Kanhaiya Misl. The gathering was silent through Sada Kaur's impassioned speech. It took a few moments for them to ingest all she had said. Finally, Naud Singh's booming voice resounded in the courtyard. My Sahib has left us speechless with her reasoning. She is truly the rightful claimant to be the next misildar of the Kanhaiyas. All those who agree will join me in the Jaikara, Jo Bole So Nihal, he roared. Sat Sri Akal, the gathering roared back, giving their assent.
Beautiful. Marrying a Nautch girl, Mora, was it a brave decision or one of integrity? How does the reader perceive Ranjit Singh's character with this?
even though I've written very objectively about all my characters in the book, I have neither given them halos nor added mythology, as many writers tend to do, depending on whether they are Sikh historians or Western historians. But here about Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the Sikhs themselves have often considered it not a very honorable thing to do, to marry a Nach girl. Now, over here, I totally stand in his defense, which might surprise you. At that point of time, women who danced, who were singers, which means who were great artists, were somehow labeled as Nach girls, and they were driven out to the periphery of society. Now, many men, I would say most of the men who were rulers or who were powerful or who were moneyed, and you would all agree with me that they had relationships with the Tawaifs, or with the horrible word that was used in Punjabi, and yet they would keep it under wraps, and it was okay for society. They thought they are entitled to do so, but obviously not to acknowledge them, not to bring them out and have them stand next to them. And look at this Maharaja. In those times, he fell in love with Mora. And he could so easily have had her as a concubine, as was the norm. What made him actually accept his love? Standing up against Akalis, who were a very fierce lot, believe me. And they could very well, they did. You know, they punished the Maharaja. They summoned him to the Kal Takht, and they said he would be given 40 lashes. So he faced all of them. He faced the shame that was attached to such a decision. His Sardars were also very vocal about it. His wives were very unhappy. And yet, he acknowledged his love for that girl. He married her. He gave her the respect. She was called as Mora Sarkar. And he also struck a coin in her name. So I salute the man for owning up to his relationship, whatever it was.
Absolutely. Maharani Jinda has been portrayed as being a forthright, brave lady of Punjab. What is your analysis of her?
Maharani Jinda was the last queen of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And what makes her very important is that she was mother to Dalip Singh, his youngest son, when all his other sons had been killed or had died in some unnatural ways. Maharani Jinda is a very remarkable woman in many ways, in that she stood up against the Britishers, she raised a voice, she tried her best to keep the Khalsa Raj intact, despite the fact that there was a lot of infighting, and it was a very difficult time. We'll come to discuss this later. Right now I'll focus on Jinda. And she had a lot of pluck. She stood up to the British when nobody else would. Well, you can call her a little rash, maybe. You can say that it was not very diplomatic. But she fought to the last breath. And nobody, not even the other big Rajas, would raise their voice to the British, to the resident, and she did. So I'm going to read out one of her actual letters, which was written to Henry Lawrence. Now this letter reads, Robkar, which is a letter from Bibi Jind Kaur Sahib to Colonel Lawrence. I had entrusted my head to your care. You have thrust it under the feet of traitors. You have not done justice to me. You ought to have instituted an inquiry and then charged me with what you found against me. You ought not to have acted upon what the traitors told you. You have kept no regard for the friendship of the great Maharaja. You have caused me to be disgraced by other people. You have not even remained true to treaties and agreements. Raja Lal Singh was true and faithful to me. He was loyal. Having levelled charges against him, you sent him away. We thought that as a Sahib himself was with us, we had no fear from anyone. We could never imagine that we would be put in prison with baseless charges concocted against us. Produce any writing of ours. Prove any charges against me. Then you could do anything you like. Myself, the Maharaja, and 22 maidservants are imprisoned in the Samman Burj. All other servants have been dismissed. We are in a very helpless condition. Even water and food are not allowed to come in. Now that you persecute us in this manner, it is better that you hang us instead of this. If you administer justice to us, well and good. Otherwise, I shall appeal to the Badi Rani in London. Even the allowance of rupees 1.5 lakh that had been fixed has not been paid by anybody. I never begged for anything from anyone. Having sold my ornaments, I was managing to live on. Why should you have caused me to be disgraced without any fault? The treatment that is meted out to us has not been given to any ruling house. Why do you take possession of my kingdom by underhand means? Why don't you do it openly? Do justice to me, or I shall appeal to London. Preserve 3 or 4 traitors and put the whole of the Punjab to the sword at their bidding. Seal Akal Sahai, Bibi Jind Kaur. Thank you. So, having talked about her bravery and her pluck, there was one major mistake that this woman made. Remember, she was very young, and she'd had very little time with the Maharaja. And I doubt if she had much of an emotional relationship with him either. As any normal person is bound to do, she fell in love with Raja Lal Singh. He was a non-Punjabi and he had recently adopted Sikhism. He was probably fishing in troubled waters at that time after the Maharaja's death, when the empire was falling apart. Her brother had been killed and she was in a very, very bad state, and the army had revolted and she had no one to turn to. So she trusted Raja Lal Singh, and Lal Singh was trying to work out his own agenda at that time. So he took advantage of her emotional helplessness at that time, and he advised her to send the military to fight with the British, which was actually a very, very rash move at that time. Anyway, she took his advice, and she was very unhappy with the military because they had killed her brother Jawahar Singh just then. And the military went and they fought. They were led by Lal Singh and Teja Singh. And unfortunately, their rations and their supplies were cut off by these 2 traitors, Teja Singh and Lal Singh, and she wasn't aware of it. And even though the Sikh battalions fought with utter gallantry and valor, and they would have actually won the Battle of Sabran, but the traitorous Teja Singh and Lal Singh, they retreated. They left them without any general at that time, abandoned them, and they also cut short the bridge which they had formed with boats over river Satluj. So the army lost. And Shah Muhammad, the famous poet who wrote Jangnama, he has lamented about this in his famous 2 lines. शाह मुहम्मदा बिन सरकार वाजों अज जित के फौजां हारियां ने.
There is also a reference here in which they say that the Satluj was full of bodies that particular day, and all because of the traitors that were. After all the research and writing, what according to you were the main reasons for the fall of the Khalsa Raj?
There were some major outstanding reasons which are really quite clear now in history. The first and foremost is that Ranjit Singh did not have a brilliant successor to take over. His eldest son, the Tikka Kamar, Khadag Singh, he was not a very capable man, and he spent more time in prayers rather than learning about war and about administration. And then he was also murdered. Very, very strangely, his own son, Naunihal Singh, and his wife, they kind of worked against him because they felt that he's going to give up the kingdom to the Britishers, whether it was true or not. So one major reason was Khana Jangi. That is, there was war in between the various factions, the Sandawaliyas, and his trusted Dogra viziers, the three brothers, Hira Singh, Suchet Singh, Dhyan Singh, they were the ones who really turned traitors and let down the kingdom after the Maharaja's death. So then the Khana Jangi started, and one after another, people were being slaughtered and killed.
My last question, as a former civil servant, a psychologist, a podcaster, and a commentator, what are the three things as a message you would like to give to the youth of today? Do also mention your upcoming writings as well.
Well, the three simple things that I would really want everyone, not only the youth, to take, to pay attention to is know your history. And find inspiration from the heroes and the heroines of history, but also be very aware of the mistakes that we made. Be very aware of where they went wrong. And let's try and not do that today as Punjab stands in very difficult times. About my
The writings as well.
upcoming works. I have two books in the pipeline, and one would probably be released next month. They're all Punjab focused, as I said. So this is Legends and Folk Tales of Punjab. And the next one is a sequel to my earlier book, Dusk Over the Mustard Fields. This is called The Far Dawn. And it's a sequel to, I won't spill the beans yet what it is about.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
We want to keep the excitement on. Thank you so much for this exclusive yet empowering conversation, and I hope everyone in the audience gets a copy to read through this powerful narrative and portrayal, The Whale and the Sword. Thank you all for being a great
so
audience.
Much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am. That really provided an eye-opening account of the remarkable women who shaped life and power in the court of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. It is now time to launch this book, The Whale and the Sword, into the literary world. And I would request Dr. Sumita Mishra and Mr. Afan Asir to please come to the dais and to finally release this book. It is now time to find out what is in the pages of this book. तालियां बजती रहनी चाहिए. This seems to be a very promising read. Again, I would like to remind you that the book will be available for purchasing outside, and you can get your copy signed by the author. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Moving on to our next session. Rumi said, "You have to keep breaking your heart until it opens." It is this fragile, intense, and often painful terrain of the human heart that we explore today, where love blooms, breaks, and lingers in stories that stay with us long after they are told. Welcome to this session on love stories and heartbreak. And I would like to invite Madam Milan Vora to the stage. One of India's most loved authors of romance. She has authored multiple books, and her writing reflects her candid take on present-day love. And she will be in conversation with Annu Rani Sharma, who is a bilingual poet, writer, and devotional singer. For her, poetry is both artistic expression and spiritual pursuit. Over to you, ma'am.
थोड़ी थोड़ी इश्क खुमारी अच्छी है, थोड़ी थोड़ी इश्क खुमारी अच्छी है, एक से होकर ये बीमारी अच्छी है। और जो अपने दिलदार को ही रब कहते हैं, जो अपने दिलदार को ही रब कहते हैं, उनसे कह दो बात तुम्हारी अच्छी है। कुछ अपनों कुछ अपने मन के सपनों की, कुछ अपनों कुछ अपने मन के सपनों की थोड़ी थोड़ी जिम्मेवारी अच्छी है। और दुनिया के दस्तूर निभाने हैं यारो,